yesterday talking about improvisation, and I on maybe the most important thing. I said music is a language, so you have to first have something to say. Second would be to actually play the instrument, whatever instrument it is. Maybe in this case, guitar or bass, but, and I mean play the instrument. What I mean by that is have fun, enjoy yourself, enjoy what you're doing, learn the technical ability, and then play around with the scale. So say you learned a pentatonic scale, and that's all you know. That's fine. Play around with that scale. So if you have this to work with, start to mess around. Start to play outside it. See if you can take this shape and start to add in other notes, because I've got all these other fingers. And see if you can take these shapes and move them around, try them in different positions, move from one place to another. And like I said, play around with that shape. So look, if you take a pentatonic shape like this, I have access to all these other notes. Just by putting my fingers down on each fret. And see what you can find just in that shape. So take the things that you do know and literally play around with them. I like what Alan Watts said, even if you're playing Mozart, screwed that up, but you're still playing. You are still playing around with the instrument. You're still taking shapes, moving it around, and what I'm trying to say is it's not necessarily serious. Don't put yourself in a box that you have to stay in that box, if that makes sense. So the idea of playing music, and it's in the language. To play music. So that would be my advice. And I forgot to mention that on the last live stream. I mentioned learning the technical ability and finding something to say, much like a language. And also, to learn a language, you don't learn a language by reading Shakespeare right away. You learn a language by speaking. So learn phrases from other people's work, right? I mentioned in the last live stream, there's a great Joe Pass lick from For Django where he says, where he does that. It's a great minor lick. Over like an A minor. You can take that line and use it in a bunch of different places. Even, the old, as Tim Henson and Rick Beato called it, the boomer bend. You can take that lick, this kind of, the Chuck Berry. I guess that was kind of all I wanted to say, was play around. Can you play something in DatGad tuning? A lot of requests are coming in on the chat. No. Probably won't do any of those requests. I don't know any songs. Maybe if you were to say play Stella by Starlight, I might be able to mess around with it. Here we go. Here's an example of improvisation. So I'll take a tune like Stella by Starlight, and I know the chords, and I'll just play around with the chords. something like that. Oh, that was pretty bad. But I took the structure, the tune. The other maybe technical thing that you'd want to learn is the modes. So each chord has a scale attached to it. So say E minor would be an E minor scale. Now, if it depends on the E minor that you're playing, but if it was an E minor, say, going to an A7, then it wouldn't necessarily be an E minor scale. It would be an E Dorian scale, which has a different sound. That's 6. So, learning your modes, learning your scales, and just having fun with them. And moving them around. Trying new places to put them. Take an augmented shape. Right? See where you can fit that in. I'll put in a little technical stuff for maybe the people that may be more advanced, but you can take an augmented triad and you can just, so like a B augmented or D sharp augmented, you can resolve it back to the E minor. So I'm starting on a B, G, D sharp, B, and then the 9. Great line. I have a cut on my finger. I've got like a dry skin crack. Not good. Anyways, hurts. Which people are saying, yo. And I noticed I had a little realization with augmented stuff. So you can take the same augmented triad and resolve it a couple different ways. You can resolve an augmented triad, or I could take that same augmented triad. So this augmented, this B, D sharp, or G augmented triad, I can resolve it to an E minor, or I can take the same augmented triad and resolve it to C minor, which is kind of interesting. C minor. Right? Kind of interesting. I was like, these two augmented, the same augmented chord can kind of resolve two different ways. It can resolve like that. It can resolve here, or it can resolve. It a couple different ways. So. Anyways, I only wanted to do 10 minutes. My whole point was to say, play around the guitar. Play the guitar. Just play. Play. Have fun. It's not too serious. Don't let anyone tell you it's not serious. Life's not that serious. It's not. It's just not. Have fun.